The party is on a rooftop. Thursday night live pagode band, the kind of crowd that doesn't need a reason. You hear the music from the stairwell and it pulls you up the last 2 flights faster than you planned. She's near the railing with a drink she's barely touched, talking with her hands the way people do when they've forgotten they're holding anything. You notice her before you mean to. Then you keep noticing her, which is a different thing entirely. You make your way over. She looks at you like she's already decided something about you and is waiting to see if you'll prove her right. You say whatever you say. She listens, tilts her head slightly, and then laughs, not at you exactly, but not entirely, not at you. And after that, she just starts talking and doesn't really stop for the rest of the night. Her name is Gabriella. She delivers this like it's all the context you need. You mispronounce it for 3 weeks before she corrects you once, at the end of week 3, with the patience of someone who is always going to wait you out. You drive home that night thinking about a woman you met for 1 hour at a party. Something has already shifted and you know it. You just don't know yet that she doesn't arrive alone. 3 weeks later, you're texting her at midnight and she's already texted you first. A month after that, you're on a first date at a restaurant you didn't choose, eating food you didn't order, and it's the best meal you've had in years. She picked the place, ordered for both of you entirely in Portuguese, and explained what was coming after the food arrived. You found this bossy. You also found it the most attractive thing that has ever happened to you at a dinner table. 2 months in, your kitchen has been reorganized. Not as a project, just gradually over several visits, drawer by drawer, and now you can't find anything but everything is in a better place. You mentioned this once. She looks at you like you've said something slightly insane. You don't bring it up again. 4 months in, her whole family is gathering at her aunt's chácara for a long weekend. She mentions this the way someone mentions stopping for gas. You go expecting a barbecue. You arrive to find 40 people, 3 conversations at full volume, and a table of food that has no business existing at 11 in the morning. You're standing there holding a plate someone put in your hands without asking when you look across the yard and see Gabriella laughing at something her cousin said. Really laughing. Head back, completely at home, surrounded by every person she loves most in the world. You know then, not dramatically, just as a fact. You walk over. You get down on one knee in the middle of a chácara with 40 strangers watching. A child nearby who has stopped running specifically to stare at you, and the smell of something already on the grill. Her grandmother starts crying before you finish the question. A cousin raises his phone and starts filming. Someone behind you says something loud and encouraging in Portuguese. She says yes. The chácara erupts. Her uncle fires a champagne cork into a tree. 2 aunts embrace each other. You stand up. Someone hands you a caipirinha. You drink it. What you don't understand yet, standing there with your heart still going, is that you didn't just propose to Gabriella. You proposed to her mother, her father, her 2 sisters, her brother, 4 cousins, 3 aunts, 2 uncles, a family friend everyone calls madrinha, who has a strong opinion about every subject that has ever existed, and a grandmother who has already begun explaining your new responsibilities to you in Portuguese, while you stand there nodding like a man who has agreed to something significant and is only beginning to understand the scope of it. She calls her mother every single day, by the way. Every day. Sometimes twice. You thought this was sweet. At first. The morning after the engagement, you wake up at 7:14 a.m. to 9 unread voice messages from 6 different people. The shortest is 47 seconds. You have received maybe 4 voice messages in your entire adult life before this moment, and 3 of those were from your bank. This is how Gabriella's family communicates. They don't text. Texting is for delivery notifications and people you don't particularly care about. Real communication is a 2 to 4 minute voice message sent at whatever hour the thought arrives, in Portuguese with full emotional commitment. Her mother sent one at 6:31 a.m. welcoming you to the family. It is 3 minutes and 41 seconds long. You listen to the whole thing understanding approximately 18 words. You save it anyway. Within 48 hours, you've received messages from people you've never met. Gabriella's cousin's wife. A woman named Dona Celia, who is apparently a close family friend of 30 years. A man who turns out to be her uncle's neighbor, who heard the news and wanted to personally congratulate you, which takes him 2 minutes and 19 seconds. You respond to everyone with text messages. You feel slightly inadequate about this. You attempt to record a voice message once, listen back to it, delete it. You will try again in approximately 3 months. The first Sunday visit to her parents' house comes that same week. You show up in jeans and a clean button-down at noon. Her mother opens the door in a silk blouse with her hair done. It is Sunday. They are not going anywhere. You recalibrate. Her two sisters assess you within the first 4 minutes, not unkindly, more like a small committee reviewing a renovation proposal. The older one says your shoes are nice. The younger one says you have kind eyes and leaves it there. You take this as a 6 out of 10 and feel grateful. Then the food arrives and you stop thinking about scores. Sunday lunch is not a meal. It is a 4-hour commitment. There is fajota with everything: rice, farofa, couve, orange slices, pork 3 ways. Her mother serves your plate personally. You finish it. She interprets this as a request for more. A second plate arrives. It would be rude not to. You try to help clean up. 2 aunts materialize and redirect you to the living room. You sit. A cafezinho appears in your hand. You accept that guests do not clean, and this is simply the rule. There is always music. Pagode from a speaker in the kitchen, loud enough to feel. At some point, 2 cousins start dancing in the kitchen, not as a bit, just because the song required it. Nobody looks up from their conversation. You do not know how to dance like that. This is noted. It will be addressed. One evening, you cancel plans with a vague text. In your world, this is a minor infraction that dissolves on its own. You put your phone down and don't think about it. She calls back in 4 minutes. Not to fight, she explains, clearly and with the kind of directness that somehow travels through a phone, exactly how the cancellation made her feel and what she'd prefer going forward. The conversation is 9 minutes long. You apologize sincerely for the first time in a relationship in longer than you'd like to admit. When you hang up, you sit there feeling like someone cleaned a window you didn't know was dirty. This is how she operates, about everything. Your nutrition, your sleep schedule, your relationship with your own parents. You call your mother once a week? She carried you for 9 months, not as attack, as investment. She is already treating your life like something worth improving, and it takes you a few weeks to realize this is what love looks like when it has nothing to prove. Her mother and sisters work the same way. They'll tell you directly when you look tired, when your beard needs attention, and in the same breath that God clearly sent you and they could see it from the beginning. Critique and warmth in one sentence. You receive both simultaneously and have to sit with the combination. She uses terms of endearment like punctuation. Meu amor, meu bem, meu lindo dropped casually mid-sentence, never performed. You started responding to all of them without noticing when that began. One afternoon you almost type meu bem at the end of a work email. You delete it. You think about it for the rest of the day. She calls her mother while you're cooking dinner together. 22 minutes. She stirs the pan with one hand, gestures at stories her mother can't see with the other. You set the table. You open the wine. You have stopped noticing this is happening, which means it is already normal. This is a thing that has happened to you. What catches you most off guard more than any of it is the questions she asks. Not surface ones. What did you want to be when you were 8? What's the thing you're most afraid of getting permanently wrong? She asks, and then she waits, and she listens like the answers contain information she's been looking for. You answer them, all of them. Her uncle Renato is throwing a curacao at his sitio on Saturday. Gabriella mentions this on Wednesday while looking at her phone, in the same tone you'd use to mention it might rain. 80 people. Country property a couple of hours out. You should come. You arrive at 11 a.m. The party has been running for at least 2 hours already. The churrasqueira is the size of a small car. A cousin named Deco manages it with the focused intensity of a surgeon. 3 cuts of meat at different heights, each at a specific stage, none of it accidental. You introduce yourself. He nods without looking away from the grill. You understand immediately you are not the priority here, and you respect that. Renato runs the property with minimal words, not unfriendly, watching. He appears next to you in the early afternoon, holds out a pair of tongs and a cut of picanha, and says something in Portuguese. Gabriella translates from across the yard without moving. Don't walk away from it. You take the tongs. You stand at that grill for 90 minutes. You do not walk away from it. Someone hands you a caipirinha. It is cold and tastes like a summer afternoon. It is not a summer afternoon. By early afternoon, you are in a deeply sincere conversation with a man named Seu Geraldo, 0 English, minimal Portuguese on your end, and you are discussing, as best you can reconstruct, the correct approach to a well-lived life. Seu Geraldo makes a point with conviction. You nod. He nods. You reach several agreements. Neither of you could summarize them, but both feel they were important. At some point, a guitar appears from inside the house, already tuned. A cousin starts playing. Everyone knows the words. You hum along to songs you've never heard. Humming is accepted as participation. Your dad, who considers a firm handshake an adequate expression of deep emotion, has found Seu Geraldo and is teaching him a card game through pure hand gestures. They have been at this for over an hour. An audience has gathered. Neither speaks the other's language. Both are completely committed. Toward the end of the afternoon, Renato sits down next to you. Long pause. Then, carefully in English, you stayed all day. Not a question. You nod. He refills your cup and goes back inside. 4 words. That's the whole thing. You've passed something you didn't know you were being tested on. The first wedding planning meeting is at her parents' house on a Sunday. 11 people present. You invited 0 of them. There is coffee, cookies arranged with boardroom seriousness, and her mother opens a laptop to reveal a Pinterest board with 1,400 pins organized into folders with subfolders. There is also a physical binder. The Pinterest board and the binder do not fully agree with each other. Both are considered authoritative. You suggest 120 guests. Gabriella's mother receives this number with the careful patience of someone listening to a theory that is almost right but missing some foundational information. The current count is 390. You don't recognize 160 of the names. Her mother walks you through them. Her father's former colleagues from 2003, families from the parish, a woman from a trip to Gramado in 2009 who is now essentially family, neighbors who would be genuinely hurt to be excluded. You stop cross-referencing. The family has spent 6 weeks visiting 9 venues and built a comparison spreadsheet with 14 columns. Your 2 bookmarked options are received warmly. They are not consulted again. The music is not a discussion. Live band pagode, samba, foro, axe plus a DJ after midnight because the band will need a break and the dancing will not. You ask if they might play something you recognize. Her aunt, who has been quietly on her phone for most of the meeting, looks up for the first time. By the end of the night, you'll know all of it. She says this with complete confidence. You believe her. The dress is referred to only as a situação. You have never seen it. You have never been near a conversation about it. You know it exists the way you know about things that are significant and classified. Her mother mentions as a footnote the late-night Tupperware situation. Guests leave with packed food. This is not optional. You ask if it's strictly necessary. She looks at you with genuine confusion. You do not bring it up again. By week 2, you've stopped offering suggestions. Not because anyone was unkind. Because you watched these women work and understood they have been preparing for this their entire lives. Your job is to show up, in the right suit, on time. You wake up at 5:47 a.m. in a hotel room and you are alone for exactly 9 minutes. Then your phone starts. The first message is a voice message from her mother. 4 minutes and 12 seconds. You listen in the dark, sitting on the edge of the bed, understanding the word filho and the word semper and the shape of the rest, which is warmth at high volume and is more than enough. The wedding has its own WhatsApp subgroup, 31 people, created 3 weeks ago, already 847 messages. You have sent 4 of those. You check it while getting ready. Your groomsmen arrive at 7:30 a.m. well-dressed and mildly overwhelmed. One reports that a cousin, a man he met once at the Curaçao, drove 40 minutes this morning to pick him up when his car service canceled. The cousin did not mention this as a favor. It simply needed to happen, so it did. Your groomsman is still processing this. You tell him to get used to it. The church has been ready since 7 a.m. One flower arrangement was redone twice. A vendor learned something important about expectations. By the time guests arrive, the space looks designed by someone who has been imagining this exact room for 25 years. She has. You stand at the altar and look out at 390 people and feel the full scale of everything: the spreadsheets, the 9 venues, the 1,400 pins. All of it pointing here. You take a breath. The music shifts. The doors open. She walks in and every organized thought exits your head in sequence. The dress is exactly as significant as the silence around it always suggested. She is crying before she reaches you. You have been there slightly ahead of her, which she will tease you about forever, and which you will never deny. Her father walks beside her. At the altar, he places her hand in yours, then pulls you close and says quietly in Portuguese, "Cuida bem dela." Take good care of her. Not a warning. A transfer of something he has been carrying for a long time. The vows. You practiced yours in Portuguese for 3 weeks. Your voice gives out mid-sentence on a word you've said 100 times in rehearsal. You stop. You breathe. You finish. The church leans forward. The band starts and the floor fills in under 60 seconds. No easing in. No awkward shuffle phase. The dancing activates like a reflex that was already loaded. Her aunts are moving before the second bar. Her grandmother, 81 years old, full dignity at the ceremony, dances 2 songs straight and then takes a chair at the edge of the floor to supervise. Her supervision involves watching people dance and occasionally pointing at someone not dancing hard enough. Nobody argues. It is a reasonable system. Gabriella pulls you onto the floor. You run the ritual. You protest. She waits. You both know how it ends. She positions your hands and tells you to stop thinking. You stop thinking. 2 songs later, you're drenched and grinning and your jacket has disappeared and you have no idea where the time went. Renato watches from the side. He does not smile. He claps twice, slowly, then goes back to his drink. You have been to award ceremonies with less meaningful applause. The aunt who told you at the planning meeting you'd know all the music by end of night was right. You don't know the words. You know the feeling of every song, which turns out to be the same thing. Your dad and Seu Geraldo have found each other again, same table near the bar. Resumed card game, now with 2 additional players whose names nobody has confirmed. The rules have developed. Nobody fully understands them. Everyone is deeply invested. At midnight, the Tupperware appears. Aunts produce containers from a system assembled invisibly across the evening. Every guest leaves with packed food rice, fagoda, brigadeiros wrapped separately. Your bag weighs 4 kilos. You will eat from it for 3 days. Best 3 days of eating in your life. Then her father stands for the speeches. 6 minutes in Portuguese, Gabriella translating quietly in your ear the whole way. Near the end, he stops, looks directly at you, and switches to English for 1 sentence. Thank you for choosing our family. The room goes completely silent, then completely loud. You look at Gabriella. She didn't know that was coming either. And you realize the sentence is backwards. You didn't choose them. They chose you, immediately and without conditions, that first afternoon at the chácara when you were a stranger holding a drink you didn't ask for. They decided then. You just had the good sense to stay. The car to the airport leaves at 3:20 a.m. Just the 2 of you for the first time since 5:47 a.m. Your feet are finished. Your jacket is gone. Someone at the reception has your tie and you have made peace with this. It is the first silence of the entire day. She lasts 4 minutes before she falls asleep against your shoulder, still in the dress, heels off, held loosely in her lap. She is asleep the way people sleep when they feel completely safe. You don't move. 40 minutes to the airport, your shoulders slowly cramping, and you find this entirely acceptable. Your phone buzzes. 23 new voice messages. Her grandmother sent one 4 minutes and 38 seconds. You listen with one earbud in so you don't wake her. You catch your name, the word familia, something near the end, with the rhythm of a blessing. You save it without thinking, the way you save things you know you'll want later. Dona Celia has sent another message. 2 minutes. Completely sincere, as if she has known you for years. A cousin posted a video to the family group. Your vows. The moment your voice broke at the altar. Already 94 reactions. Her grandmother reacted with a heart. You didn't know her grandmother knew how to do that. You sit with this for a while. You think about Renato's 2 slow claps. Your dad and Seu Geraldo at their table, fully committed to a card game neither could explain. Her father's 1 English sentence that rearranged something in your chest you're still sorting through. The 4-kilo bag in the trunk you are unreasonably looking forward to. You think about the voice message from her mother at 5:47 a.m. saved before you'd gotten out of bed, understanding almost none of it, kept for the tone alone. Your life before this was fine. Quiet and complete in the way things feel complete before you find out there was a room you didn't know existed. A room that is warm and loud and always slightly too full, where a 4-minute voice message at 6 a.m. is a perfectly normal expression of love. You had no idea you were lonely until you weren't anymore. She shifts against your shoulder. Says something in Portuguese very quietly. Half a sentence, maybe less. You don't ask what it means. Some things you understand without translation.